While we're here, why don't we go ahead and deal with some endgame stuff. So once we complete lines, that's kind of our score, is whether or not we've cleared lines. So I'm going to create a variable that is basically how many lines we've cleared, which is kind of your score and your level and whatnot. And I'm going to put that in at the top. Start at 0. And actually, the way I'm going to do this is similar to some versions of Tetris I've played, where if you get a certain number of lines, it speeds up the game, and you have a level based on how many times it sped up your game. So let's start with those. And I'm back where I was when we complete a line. Let's also say that we've removed one of these lines. And then we can check to see if we need to basically go up a level, if we need to speed up. I'm going to make it in my game that every 10 lines you speed up. So this means I'm going to divide by 10. Well, I'm going to keep dividing by 10 and find out what the remainder is each time. That's modulus. And every time I get no remainder, so if it's evenly divisible by 10, that's when I'm going to speed up the game. So I'm going to add 1 to my level, and then I'm going to speed up the game. So this is going to be another integer because I have to do it in microseconds. I think I'm going to do it as a percentage of what the game speed is. So maybe a 30% speed up. Well, I guess let's check and see if this works at all and make it really obvious. And I am not going to go through 10 lines. Let's try 2 lines for now. Much faster. Alright, so that looks like that works. Let's put this back to 10, and I'm going to set this at something more reasonable, maybe 0.7. I suppose it's possible if you play this really well, you might even go below 1. I'll put in a special piece of code to make sure that nobody goes below 1. So if you ever try and get something, well, if it's less than or equal to 0, then we'll set the game speed at 1. Now that we have our level and lines cleared, let's go ahead and add in some sort of text that shows us that that information is here. I'm going to want larger text than the default text, I think, so I'm going to have to start messing with fonts a little bit. So to add a font, processing has a processing font, which you have to declare here, and then in the setup, you have to actually create it. You don't want to do this in a draw event. It won't let you. It'll break things if you do. You want to do this in setup instead. So I'm going to create a font. Pretty sure most machines these days have Arial, so I'll use that. So you do Arial. 72 seems like a reasonably large size. And there's a third argument which I don't remember. Let's go look that up. So if we go find font on here, PF font. So we want to use create font. Let's go look up that one. So whether or not it's smooth or not is the third argument. Yeah, that's fine. Once we have that, then we can change the text in here in your drawing. So after we draw our objects, we want to set our font. I think 32 is about right. That's a little larger. I'm going to set it to be black. You can change it to other colors if you want. And the number of lines cleared plus whatever's in there. That's going to be, let's see, we're about 220 for the right wall, so maybe about 300 to go beyond that. A little ways down, about 150. It's about right. I suppose I can move it a little more to the left if I wanted to. Yeah, I'll let you mess with that if you want to line it up better. Black's a little hard to see on the gray. You could also change the color of that if you wanted to, or even draw like a background rectangle first and then draw that in. We probably want the level as well. And I'll put this at the same spot and a little lower, so maybe 200 down. Very nice. I think the only things left are losing and rotation. I'm actually going to start with losing first and then show you a couple examples of how rotation works and leave the final rotations for you to do. So let's see, when should the game end? The game should probably end when you create a shape and those shapes are immediately colliding with one of these static blocks. So that's probably going to happen in the create shape function. There you are. Once we create these things, we can check to see if any of them actually collides. So let's see if block 1 hits something. So if that one hits something, or if block 2 hits something, or if block 3 hits something, -1. There we go. Or if block 4 hits something. Block 4 not equal to -1. That means it's game over. So let's go ahead and just do your draw question at this point. Play again. Now, much like all the other games, if we add in a question, we're going to need to check the mouse pressed event to see if we can actually get out of the game. That seems important. So we're going to do a check again to see what the answer was. If it's yes, we're going to restart the game. Otherwise, if it's no, we're going to end the game. I'm going to do the same sort of style of ending the game that I've done before, where I'm just going to say to the console, game over, and then end the game. Let's see if that works. Let's see if we can lose real quick. Game over, play again. Yes. No. Game over. Excellent.